Upasizingivavanza mayela twetimonanga manza mapeti dadanga owiza walusalisa itazwa vyanyo pamanza uvyeti utufyetika unapukumuni zikwizazo owiza watusalisa opewewiza owiza owiza watusalisa opewewiza owiza owiza watusalisa Zinvita zingivaza malela tweti munanga imango vyeti moneka owiza wakuzalisa Paiza melukazo mafyuti yemindeleve Lutagamana usamira Lateya lungu yambanilu Wiza, oh wiza, wiza watusalisa Oh wiza, oh wiza, oh wiza watusalisa Okay, we are going to talk here, especially in English. At the end, we will be on our mother tongue, which is the tongue that we have learned, grow with it in Congo Brazzaville. So just please give me a second. I'm going to just share this quickly with other friends that are watching us and whatever we are doing. Many of you know me better. My name is Mikaya Pongiset, or Mikaya Pongi 7 in English. You can call it like that. And we are talking about a new country that was born right there in the center of Africa. And that country is called the Congo Federation. And many videos have been done, especially to explain why we create that new country. And we know that when we try to see in international level, many countries are also aware of this. Our friends in a group have sent letter to you to announce the creation of the Congo Federation. Sometimes we talk in French, we talk in our mother tongue too, but tonight I'm gonna do it again in English for our English or Commonwealth audience. The title of this talking, of this video, of this live is That Little Rooster, France. A little rooster that destroyed Africa. That's the title. And we are not creating anything new. Or we are just talking that's something you already know. Maybe you ignore it. But today, when you will be watching this video, you will know exactly what the French are doing right there in Africa, especially in the center of Africa, sometime in the west of Africa. We can say 14 countries. The United States of America, Canada, many countries in Europe, even the Chinese, India, we can say like the United Nation, they know on what we are talking here. So they have given the power to the French to bring almost 14 countries in extreme poverty. First, they control the money. Secondly, um, they choose who have to be in power within the 14 country. Thirdly, they have a military base and they can allow genocide happening in those countries. And in the fourth point, they protect every crime, either economical crime or blood crime. They're protecting. So many of you in the Western country, you always say Africa is poor, but you rely in Africa to build your economy. The United States was built by black people. You know that slavery, right? Most of raw material that we have, the most important material, it's only in Africa you can find it. Using cell phone, tablet, which is iPad, we call it. You're using TV, army, military equipment. We can say here high tech or high technology. All of this raw material is coming where? From Africa. The question you have to ask within your own conscience, okay, I'm using my cell phone, where material is coming from? Do the people are living in a great, like best life condition? Do they can get welfare? They have a job? Children can go to school? If there is any peace there, hospital, roads, do they living like us here in the Western country? They have water, electricity. That's a question that all of us have to ask. This is the main reason we have decided to put our life in the front to fight for our people. My name is Mekaya Pongi 7, coming right there in the south of Africa, in the south of the Republic of Congo. We have put in place a new country called the Congo Federation because of injustice, because of a plan that was put in place by the North people under the leadership of one of the ethnical group that's called the Mbosi, and they have one leader is Sassou Denis Maturin that everybody knows. And Denis Maturin is being protected by the French. And this is the same French that is running 14 countries with the safer money. That's where we are coming tonight. As you know, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, is taking the leadership of the European Union. And he'll also be, I think, for 6 months, he'll be running the head of the European Union. He will also be the head of the NATO. You know what is the NATO? It's just a military that serve the interest of the Western country. You know that. Canada is part of the NATO. The United States of America is also part of the NATO. So many countries in Europe, including the French. It seemed like every certain time, one of the biggest country, member of the NATO, is taking the leadership. Like they have a kind of balancing rotation to be conducting the head of this organization, the NATO or the European Union. The French will be leading the European Union for 6 months. And yesterday, which is January 19th, the French have now the leadership of the European Union, and in the coming day, taking also the head of the NATO. The question that all of us have to ask is, getting the French in the leadership, what happened in the 14 country? How the French, a little roster, or we can say chicken, will be running this huge organization with so many countries, the military, the decision on the military, which is, we can say, like the army of the Western country. What impact can have this French leadership within our people? I'm talking here about my community, African community, Black community, the Congo community where I'm coming from. I have based my fight against injustice, against the freedom of speech, of thought, great economy, water, clean and drink water on the Congo people. Why? Because the Congo are being exterminated right there in the center of Africa. And no one is trying to raise the voice of the Congo internationally. Only what we are doing is from what we are saying that people are trying to get what really is happening. Only by having this little channel, YouTube, Facebook page, people can see, can hear what is happening on the Congo people right there in the south of the Republic of Congo. The Republic of Congo was created in 1958 by the French, we can say that. So what the French did is they came back in 1880 right there in our land. At that time, there were no Mboshi. Mboshi is an ethnical group that live in the north, and they are the one who have brought the internal colonization in the south against the Congo. The Congo are the owner of the land. The Congo are the owner of the natural resources. So back in the 1880, just 5 years before the Berlin Conference, you know that the Berlin Conference was in 1885, where the European country have decided to split Africa in a little small country. They have put their own border, dividing communities, families, dividing people, and also moving different culture from one area of Africa to another area for them to be able to implement their power with the intention of decreasing the influence of one ethnical group. And that was the main goal here. So at that time, before they can go to a conference, to a Berlin Conference in 1885, the King of Belgium came in Africa. He made in place a kind of organization, what they have called the International Organization, what they have also called a kind of expedition, came to Africa to try to make a deal, either by force, by making promises to the owner of the land, which we call here like a kind of autochthon people, right? That's what they did. So in our case, we as the Congo, when they came in our land in 1880, our ancestral have provided them a contract. The contract was based on promises. Their promises education for us, we as a descendant of our ancestral. Their promises um, a good healthcare system. They promises a better life, like the life we are living right here in Western country. That was the promise they have made. But what they have done here, our ancestors never signed any contract with directly with the French. We know that in the north of the right, what we call today the Republic of Congo, there were one ethnical group we call Teke. The leader, the king, signed the contract with De Brazza. So by signing the contract with De Brazza, so he has given the land of the Teke, which is one of ethnical group belonging in the north, have given the right to De Brazza, to lead the land. So it's mean like De Brazza was working for the French. So it is the North who has signed the contract with the French. In the South, what we call here, in the Congo territory, none of our ancestors have signed the contract with any representative coming from the French. Our grandfather, ancestors have signed with John Grant Elliot, who was a Briton. This Briton was working on behalf of the Kingdom of Belgium. He is the one that our grandfather, our ancestors signed a contract by giving peacefully their land to Grand Elliot based on the promises that was done. The Kingdom of Luango, my grandparent, my ancestor in Rudima, so many ancestor in Kimbedi. All of this was the area in our country at that time. However, there were a kind of a deal between the French and the Kingdom of Belgium. So the Kingdom of Belgium they sold the land that our ancestors signed with Grand Elliot on behalf of Belgium. They sold that land to the French with, I think, 300,000 of French money at that time. And in 1958, what the French have done is, after the Berlin Conference, they tried to put all of this totally, the land that was under sovereignty, they put it together by creating the Congo Republic. However, the Congo Republic was independent only for 11 hours. After 11 hours, they decided to bring back the Congo Republic within the French community. The French community, what is the French community? Every country that are under the leadership of the French. It's mean like the French president is the president of the whole community. As you can see, like we can call it today like the Commonwealth. We can say, like, for example, the Kingdom of England. She's the head of the Commonwealth. That's what we call the the French community. So it's mean like the Congo is not a country anymore, but the Congo is like the Republic of Congo we are talking here is, we can call it as a province that belong to French. And whoever is the leader in the Congo Republic is being appointed by the French president. And this is still going on to today. But what they try to show you in the media, when you go every meeting in the United Nations, they try to represent these people as like the head of a country. But in reality, they don't run nothing. Every decision is coming from the French president. So when the French president decided to exterminate the Congo, he cannot come himself. to do this. He cannot send like French military. But what he's doing is he's gonna give the order to whoever is in power there, whoever they appointed as the leader, to do this job for them. And in the case of the Congo, they decided to exterminate us, the owner of the land, the owner of natural resources, so they can replace us by different communities coming from overseas. And that's where we are fighting for. As you can see that by having the French in the leadership of the European Union, having the French as having the French in the leadership of the NATO, will have a direct impact on the life, on the surviving of the Congo in that area. When you watch the speech pronounced by Macron Emmanuel right there in Strasbourg in January 19, the day that they were taking the leadership of the European Union, he's talking about the moving of a geographic border. All of this is only happening in Africa, not in Europe, neither in Canada, neither in the United States of America, neither even in the South of America, neither in Australia, we can say that. But it's only in Africa, all right, because of interest. He's basing the French presidency of the European Union on the value that he has called. He called it the fight for the sovereignty of the people. But as you can see, the sovereignty of the European Union is only based on Africa, right? Because of raw material, oil, gold, diamond, whatever you know, right? But how they taking all of this material is by bringing in place of violence, as you know, in most of 14 countries that the French are running, rolling down the economy. There is none of this country has arise from poverty. You understand what I'm saying? None of this country. When you try to compare certain country, that's where under the leadership of Britain, let's see, Nigeria, Ghana, even Liberia today, they're doing well economically. The level of unemployment is going down. There is a good opportunity of doing business there. Safety of the people. You understand what I'm saying? So there is a huge gap between the country that are under the leadership of the Commonwealth, which is the Britain community, compared to the French. The question is, why is it like that? Because the French are controlling every raw material, natural resources. The French are not promoting democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of thought. And this is a problem here, right? Even though you put in place institution, the French will always come destroy this institution because they want to put one guy in power, the guy that they control, right? The person who receive every order coming from the French president, coming from the French mafia system. That's why I call it like that. The people that are working only for French interests, not for their own people. As you know, elections are fake. They are not fair in this country. One man can organize his own election, pronounce himself as a winner with a huge percentage. You know that, right? And the worst thing is, so many countries in the West are approving this. because of also interest they have through the multinational businesses they have within this country, right? And we as the Congo, we are saying no with this kind of practice. We have to move to the next level. Right? The politics should not be based on killing, stealing, destroying the life of autochthon people. Right? We have to find a common ground here, good agreement of fair and share of these natural resources. Right? Probably God on his plan had provided raw material to Africa. He probably did not provide them uh, how to explore all of this, explore it. He gave it probably to you, but you have to come in a table of negotiation so all of us can benefit from it, not coming making the life of people worse instead of doing a great business. It's a matter of bringing in place like a mercenary, terrorist, and destroying, ruling the life of people. Right? We should be. All of us are human, so we have to be in the base of discussion. So as you can see that Macron Emmanuel, being the head of European Union, he has based his politics. What he have called sovereignty of the people, but that the sovereignty is will only happen in Europe and not in Africa, based on human right, a human right. And he said that if there is no human right, we will see the rise of the dictatorship everywhere. But they all already created the dictatorship in different countries, especially in the country they're leading, which is right there in Africa. 14 countries. The dictatorship of the French, they have introduced, firstly, is by the money, CFA. I always ask myself a question: why Canada, the United States, even now the Chinese, the Russian now, different country, even the country that are within the Commonwealth cannot stop this? Why the French has only based their economy on stealing 14 countries? You understand what I'm saying? What is the reason of this? What is the intention of this? Why this big country are leaving the French keep going with this kind of model, right? And as you can see that this practice create what we call here a frustration, right? When somebody is frustrated, it's gonna bring anger for people who doesn't have control, sometimes hate for people who doesn't have control. As you can see that the French are squeezing the throat of African country, 14 countries, with this money. On top of that, you will see a military base. And this military base, their role is to protect whoever the French has appointed in this country. The case of Sassou Nguesso in the Republic of Congo is the best example you can see that this person uh, can do coup d'etat, creating a genocide, stealing money. He has installed what we call here the internal colonization. He can buy guns from everywhere, right? And he have built nothing for the people, but he's still being protected by the French. The same French are able to go through the World Bank, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and create doing a kind of manipulation on the Congo accountability money, and so that this Sassou can profit from the loan, right? Incredible, right? And people knows about this, but nobody's saying nothing because we are in a huge corrupted system, financial system, international. People are just thinking about how percentage of money they will get from this mafia system, right? And this is the truth that you will never get on Radio Canada, on CNN, uh, NBC. You will never get this through on all of this big, what we call a big media, right? Mainstream media. You will never get this through. But this is the truth, right? Um, so these people here, the French, are protecting the most criminal people in the power, and what they're using here, what they call here the humanity, diplomatic humanity, right? Protecting them from everything. They can travel from point A to point B, but the contrast on this is that we have seen here Djokovic, uh, who is a tennis player, man, right? And we have seen in Australia the border authority. We have seen even the prime minister of Australia saying he's not gonna get in my country because he's not vaccinated, right? But how come you don't prevent a criminal like Vesasu and Geso and so many dictators from traveling to your country? It's the same thing. You don't want just to use the Jovic case for your election. You know that in Australia there is election is coming in a coming day, and the prime minister want to use the case of Djokovic for him to show his leadership to his people, so that in the next election he can be voted, right? But why you don't implement the same law for criminal dictator are stealing money? There is a rule in place, law in place for that, but you don't want to implement it. Why? You don't want to use it. Why? You understand what I'm saying? So we as the Congo do not believe on any speech that Macron Emmanuel can say about Africa, because you have them since the 1960, what they have called the independence of African country. Really, in reality, the 14 country that under the French leadership in Africa, they never got their sovereignty. Zero independence. You know that, right? Independence is a freedom of speech, of thought, money, economy, but every decision has been taking place in a later office right there in Paris. And the United States know about this. Canada knows about that. The British, they know about this too. But no one want to change this rule. Why? Because they don't care about us, right? We as the black people. It's now a matter for us to take care of ourselves, how to protect our community, how to how to protect our own country, how to think about our people, our future, and our dignity, and the establishment of our dignity. We don't trust the French, we never trust them. So this means like all of us have to watch the presidency of the French within the European Union and within the NATO. Right? They already created dictatorship in Africa by supporting families, gangster like Sassou Nguesso, and so many of them right there in Africa, protecting them for all the crime they have been committed, financial crime, blood crime, and so on. You understand what I'm saying? Macron Emmanuel is talking about to bringing back Europe as a power of cultural power, military power, economically power. He's thinking about, he's talking about the safety of Europe. Macron Emmanuel was clear. He said that the European country have to regain a power of the army. So it's mean like they have to buy guns. They have to fabricate, manufacture many guns. That's what he said. People, I understand what Macron Emmanuel is saying. Because any country who want to survive have a great military, a great equipment to protect their people, to protect their border, to protect them, to protect their interests. We as the Congo, we know that in the north We have the Republic of Congo. In the west, we have Gabon. We have in the east, we have the Republic Democratic of Congo. In the south, we have Angola. But the most threat can only come from the north, from the Mbosi, from the Ngala, who are under the leadership of the French. And their main of trust is Sassou Nguesso, Sassou Maturin. You understand what I'm saying? So it's me like, because they are the one who have put the colonization in place, the plan is Operation Mouebara. Mouebara is the name of Sassou Denis Maturin mother. That operation is exterminate the Congo, the owner of the land. Please remember, the Congo is a huge population. You will find the Congo in the south of the Republic of Congo, which we call today the Congo Federation. You find them on the Republic Democratic of Congo. You find them in Angola. You find them in Gabon. You understand what I'm saying? So, in order for us to protect ourselves, we will need to put in place our own army. The army is not to fight against anyone. The army is to protect our land, our border, our territory, our people, protect our natural resources. That's the main case, because we are being killed at a very high rate. Our land are being sold at a very high rate. Our natural resources are being spoliated at a very higher rate. So we have to find a way to stop this using a humanitarian, what we call here as a humanitarian path. This is an emergency. The creation of a Congo Federation. They have to protect. They have to get guns, buy guns to protect Europe. We are thinking about our people too. It's not a sin saying that, protecting our people, right?